Tales beyond the tagboard. Views and opinions expressed in the podcast are purely individual and do not represent that of the colleges that are a part of it.
Hi everyone, this is episode 2 of Days Beyond the Tagboard. I'm Gayatri. I'm from RV College of Architecture. I'm just done with my course.
Myself, Jaya. I'm from 4th year CEPT University.
I'm Nayana. I am from RVCA as well. I'm in 3rd year.
Hi, I'm Yukta. I'm from CEPT University, Ahmedabad. I'm in my 3rd year.
Let's just talk about our workspace. I think what better defines architecture college apart from its workspace? What is it like in RV?
So just to give a context to where RV even is, so it's at the edge of the city, right next to a forest. It is about 500 meters from a forest, so it's a lot of fun. You get to see things.
That's not like the case in CEPT, at least. Our college is pretty much surrounded by all sorts of trees and plantation and everything. Though it's in the heart of the city, unlike how RV is, nothing as such to look around because even the height is not such that you can look around.
The only thing that you actually can see are other buildings and this huge ground right in the center and our library. But that's about it. You can only see buildings and trees.
I think what makes our location interesting is also when people rush to the terraces to get a sunset view, or sometimes you can see a hill at the far edge. We also heard that Turahalli actually used to be an elephant crossing. So the road that exists right now, when at least people coming in from that side of the city, you kind of move through the forest when you reach the college. And when you're coming in from the other side of the city, you have the nice road. So no matter where you're coming from, before you come into college, that's the view you look forward to.
Best thing about our college is so there's this one bakery that comes on the main road. So everybody just goes there, gets a cup of tea, and it's so beautiful in the evening because you get to look at this beautiful sunset setting on the hill that's nearby, and almost the entire college is there. It's after working hours, and everybody just sits there, gets some Maggie, and then everybody, I don't know, has this new sort of a rapport with the bakery auntie. It's she's also a part of our college, but an unsaid part of our college. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The main road is a little ahead of our college. You have to take this one turn to get onto the college road. And that road is filled with stalls and these tiny shops. They sell you Maggie, rolls.
And the good part is all of those stalls are there till midnight. And sometimes when they know that we have night outs, they are there till 2 or 3 at night. And then you can easily just walk out of that. We call it the North Gate. So from there, you just walk out. It actually has its own environment at night. And then
our college ends at 5, right? So everything actually shuts down at 5. So it starts at 9 in the morning, ends at 5. But that's just within college hours. So after 5, like we said, we're either at the bakery or we're either at some PG, and everybody's outside, inside. And exactly at 4:59, there's a pune that comes and he turns off all the lights. And sometimes what happens is all of our things sometimes are left back in college. They're left back in the studios. And, going to the watchman, get to try to get it open is such a long process. So some of these studios, the windows are at such a height that you can actually jump inside the studio. So a lot of people just jump into the studio after 5 and they try and hide from the security guard, cameras, just to take their things. And once you have your things, you don't know how to go out because now you have a lot of things and models. And
there are no sorts of those security grills on the windows or anything.
No.
They're just punctures in the walls that way.
Yes.
That's interesting.
I mean, we also do kind of have a similar nightly routine, except instead of having it at 4:59, we have it at 11:59. And then the guard comes in, and it's not just one, it's 3 of them. And they have these whistles, they have these sticks. So they come and they start banging on the desk and they're like, get out. And I think the most annoying part is that they shut off the light. So imagine it's 11:59. Right, it's dark outside. You have no other light.
They come and it's actually very annoying, and you are in the middle of some work. You have to take away whatever you can in your hands, all the rolls or your laptop, everything, and just rush to nearest location.
Speaking about what happens after college, if you asked us, I think along with going to the bakery is like a daily ritual. It's just something where you see everyone who's inside college, you see them at bakery. Other than that, the restaurants that are nearby or cafes that are nearby, you know that because ours is one of the only colleges that's in that area, the chances of you bumping into, say, somebody from another batch or even our teacher. This happened sometimes. I think this was after one of our events. We went into a restaurant and we met our principal there. Although the number of options are quite less, I think the chances of accidental encounters is a little higher. And
Yeah, it's all very casual, I would say. Like, even in the studio hours, there's this one professor, and he doesn't like us calling him sir. And then the moment you call him sir, he'll just say, "Oh, whom are you talking to? Is it the CR you are talking to? Whom are you talking to?" We directly call them by their names, and they want us to look at them as professionals.
I guess a lot of the reason that we bond so well is because we stay on campus after college ends. There's people on the north lawns.
Not to
It's just
forget, not to forget the ramp. Like ramp is
over
the most active phase
the
on
ramp.
campus.
If I have to talk about the most active space in our campus, I definitely say the stairs, because the number of stairs we have in our campus is sort of insane. Everybody's sitting outside working. So what happens is when there's a submission, Manikanta is stationary. So everybody is like sitting outside, and yeah, it's like a 3D maze where you're trying to go through everybody. And the lift takes, I think, 3 hours to go from like one floor to the other. So we'd rather just climb the billion stairs there are. Where the Kund in our college is a place where everybody comes and they're either eating or small events happen even there. So there are staircases there as well. Yeah, the jury boards, and especially when there are juries, the number of boards that are there. I think it's crazy just getting to our class from outside the college. Yeah.
What are jury boards?
They're like your tag boards where you pin up your sheets.
I mean, do you have to like physically carry them?
No, they're all movable boards. All these boards are just left lying in the corridor. So in the corridor, not only are there a lot of people sitting outside working, either because they got kicked out or they came late, either there are boards. So you're trying to go through everything. Yeah. How do you guys get to class? How do
They're
you?
like they're like boards on wheels.
Yes.
Ah, we don't have boards on wheels. We have to legit carry those huge boards all the way from our studios to our Tagra basement. It's like a
We
multi-purpose
have to.
place,
So
but it's
it's like an open space with no columns, and like the building is above it. That's literally the best way I can describe it.
it's like a hollow plinth, but then it doesn't have any sorts of interruptions in between. It's a huge expanse, and you can see the beautiful north lawns, the champa trees there on one side. On the other side, you can see the Shenik Bhai Plaza. So it's all open on both the sides. Beautiful experience, and you get all sorts of breeze, and it's the most interactive space. So that is used for juries, and then we have to carry our tag boards all the way from our studios, which are like on the third floor compared to basement. But you take those tag boards all the way so we can make spaces in that
So
basement.
like we end up dismantling the tack board, and we get these two stands, and then we get the actual board, and then you can like before jury you can see people just climbing up and down trying to get all their stuff. You can see them carrying the boards, you can see them carrying the stand, the sheets. People are just walking here, there, everywhere.
every studio has a specific number of roller boards. Speaking of places where juries are held, usually the smaller juries, the concept reviews and earlier reviews happen inside studios, and eventually when you know that it's reaching a serious place, it moves to the corridor. And recently we've also started having juries outside the cafeteria. So I feel like the engagement is like a little more when it's extended there. The Kund area is next to the cafeteria, and we also have an amphitheater there, and there is a library on top that looks into the Kund. That particular pocket I feel is probably the most happening.
Yeah,
I
even
think
in the library, right? One gets into the library as well. Everybody wants that one spot in the library that actually looks down at the Kund. And, they're either bunking class or they're pretending to study. But yeah, mostly everyone's there just to bunk. Yeah, for sure.
We also have these kind of favorite spaces in our studio. We call them kopchas. So those kopchas are like balconies, but they're very much there in the studio. And then in our studio concept, we have this idea of people choosing their own studios. And then according to that, we choose our own desk, and we kind of organize our desk according to our studio spaces. It's like we have this one desk throughout the semester. So most of us have this fight of who will sit near the kopcha because that is the space in the studio. And
Friendships have been broken over the Kopcha. We see this whole presentation of some 19 studios, and then we're given a choice as to which studio we want. So we fill out this huge preference list, and then we have this small 5 to 10 minute interview where they ask us certain questions or just look at our portfolio. By the end of the day, we get to know which studio we're in. You have to name your desk. If you do not name your desk, it's not yours. So we name our desk, and then we come back on Monday for the first day of the semester. How does college start for you guys?
In the beginning of the semester, we kind of find out which studio really belongs to us. And everybody's really aiming for the one studio on the ground floor. Our college facade is inclined. So there are these huge glass panes that are inclined. So everybody is hoping for that studio because either they can GT in that studio when there's no faculty around, or they can look out at something that's not just their own classmates. I think that's one way of picking which studio they probably want to go to. And each studio has these huge columns. So there are these small niches that are created in each studio. So everybody tries to go get that spot. So even if there's a teacher in class, you can just see people either crying in that spot or eating something or hiding. It's fun.
When you guys say studios, you mean it's just the space? Or is it also what you're learning? Because for us, every studio is different. Every studio covers a different project. If I'm in one studio and Jaya's in another studio, we're not doing the same project. Is that how it is for you? Or is it just the space that you guys call studio?
I think right now, when I was referring to the glass panes and all that, I think I was talking about just the space because every semester we get a new topic, we learn something new, and the studio varies with a new set of faculty.
So, like your whole batch does the same project throughout the semester?
Yeah, so the 120 are divided into three different classes. So each class has their own set of faculty. So usually the fourth semester is the housing semester. So all the three different classes learn housing in three different ways, depending on how the faculty's input is. So a studio has like 40 people. What about y'all?
our batch has like 80 people, but we get divided into more than 12 or 13 studios. We also have this concept of vertical studios in which we have our seniors or our juniors studying together.
Second and third year studying together, and fourth and fifth year studying together.
Because of that, like the kind of relationships we have with our seniors is next level. Like you can't even imagine that because there's so much interaction 24 hours that builds onto very valuable relationships, I would say. It feels like a family. Very good vibes.
When we have studios, we usually have studios with either one faculty or two faculty. And the studios which have one faculty are usually have lesser number of students, so somewhere between 11 to 13. And the ones with two faculty usually have, I think, max 16 or 17. So we don't really have a lot of people in each studio. And I think that's because we see the same set of 13 or 15 or how many ever faces. We form such good bonds. And that bond doesn't stop at the end of each semester. So it's kind of like when you go to the next semester and you go to a new studio, you get a new fresh set of people around you. But like you make more bonds, you become closer to certain people, but you don't get away from the others. So I think that's really cool.
You're learning together, smiling together, laughing together, crying together, begging for deadlines together, and all sorts of things.
When we're asking for extensions, that's when like the whole batch comes together and just rallies against the faculty. That's fun.
But I think along similar lines, like we mentioned, since we are a bunch of 140 and we get divided into three, you're kind of with the same 40 for about 10 semesters. That being said, you really see how one person changes from the beginning to the end. And it makes group works easier because by around urban design semester, you kind of already know who's doing what and who's comfortable with what. Also, each one has like a signature way of designing or approaching anything, right? So by the end of it, by the time you reach thesis, which is such a personal topic, it's really nice. On one hand, you see how you've grown, and on the other hand, you also see how people you're studying with have grown. So there's that. Like you get identified as a certain batch. Like we actually worked on a documentation for Bande Wembley, which is a town which has residences that are about 400 years old, and they're bringing it down in the name of development. Since then, since our third semester, we became the class that documented Bande Wembley. So that kind of identity kind of stuck with us. It can go both ways. Can also be bad.
I am so stuck on the fact that you just said urban design semester, because in our college, urban design itself is a faculty. Like there's a complete set of studios for urban design.
Oh, yeah, we have one studio, I think, where we learn about UD and, we get an introduction to that. And actually, to add to what Gaia said, where she talked about how we learn how each person grows independently. So I think around halfway down the line, you kind of figure out if someone's even stealing somebody else's work, just to present for a particular studio. You know that, hey, that's it's not his work, it looks like hers. They probably traded in something else. But yeah, definitely. I mean, I would be quoting your words when I say unbreakable bonds, right? So we learn how each person is from within. It's really cool to see how much a person can grow.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you have to kind of summarize your experience so far, considering we are all third year, fourth year students. How would you actually talk about, like, how would you describe your college in just a sentence or a word?
As someone who's just finished, I would say laughable, because in all honesty, I think I took myself too seriously and I saw everyone around me take themselves too seriously. But I don't know if that's coming from quarantined place or just finished place. So there's that.
I would say college is home. The amount of time you spend there, the people that you meet, and just the whole vibe of the place just feels like a family, feels like home.
I think there's no better word to describe our college apart from calling it home, family. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would use the term community because it's its own set of people. I feel like the entire college has this one group of people where everybody thinks that everybody is more respectful of each other. I feel like they're just different kinds of people. You don't meet everybody like that elsewhere in life. If I had a conversation about politics with somebody else who I've never talked to, if say a junior, senior, I feel like they would bring a fresh perspective in what they have to say. I think it's just something we learn through the course where we learn to be more accepting of one another.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, throughout this session, we've gotten to know so much about you guys and how you guys work, how your college functions. And I think you guys have also gotten a little bit, like, you've gotten to know a little bit about us as well. And it's just great how, despite the fact that all four of us are studying architecture, we're not studying the same thing. And the culture is so different in a college such as RV and in a college such as CEPT. It was so insightful and it was so much fun to get to know you guys.
Yay, guys, this was a great session. We should do this more often, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's it. Should we wrap this up?
How do you end a podcast?
Bye.
I don't know what to say.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. I hope nice things happen to you. I hope you don't forget to breathe. And yeah, man, just go live a happy life.